I thought I could get everyone warmed up by asking a really easy question. What's the most enjoyable part of retirement for you all so far?
I enjoy having a cup of coffee in the morning, watching the news and all the traffic.
Just tuning it out.
One of the things I've learned to enjoy in my short time of being retired is having that time in the morning to work on me. You know, go to the health club and not have to meet a deadline or meet anything scheduled. I can go to the health club anytime I want, you know, so that's really less stressful, you know, so that's what I enjoy.
I think taking advantage of city things and not worrying about, am I going to get home too late and not be able to function well at work tomorrow? So we've been able to schedule off times to go to the theater or to dinners someplace that we wouldn't normally go during the week. So if you live in a city like Chicago, it's nice to be able to take advantage of all the things in the city.
I think the variety. When you were working, you had that flow and everything was oriented towards the job. But being able to get up in the morning and say, today I'm going to, and then this afternoon I'm going to do something totally different, is just, you know, so unimaginable a couple of years ago that you could actually feel that way because your life was so structured and ordered by outside forces.
How about negative feelings during retirement? I've sometimes heard from retirees where they've said, my work, and I think I'll feel like this, my working career has been a big part of my personal identity. When I'm out in the world, no one will know what I did during my career. Does anyone feel like that?
It's almost a feeling of vulnerability because you don't have that office, that title, you know, that regular income coming in. And it's not to the point of, you know, I'm going home at night and counting my pocket change to make sure it's all there. But, you know, the physical vulnerability, the financial vulnerability, and trying to reprogram a new cell phone. I mean,
it's what we have children for.
Yes.
I think one of the negative things that I've found in the short time I've been retired is the people I miss in the office space. It was a lot of relationships that I've built over the years, and not having that day-to-day interaction with them is something that I miss, and I kind of clamor for. So I keep in touch, but I don't do it. I don't want to be a pest. Call in every day, but
right.
Yeah, that's one of the things I miss.
Does anyone else miss that collegial environment that comes along?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
For us, we moved to the Chicago area from Michigan, so we left a whole lot of history back there, and we're closer to our daughter, so it's we're starting over. So it's
friendships,
it's kind of a big step.
Is it harder to make friends in retirement than it was during your working career?
I don't think so.
No.
We live in a 55 and over community, and there are lots of activities, and you can choose to be as busy or not as you want.
A little bit of a built-in social network there.
Absolutely.
How about,
which is nice.
Yes, absolutely. How about for those of you who don't live in a community like that? Do you feel that it's hard to connect with people, meet new people?
I think you have to put yourself in the way of people. Many of us might be active in a church or the health club. Go into the health club in the morning. You meet other old guys hanging around the health club. Don't get a lot done there either. You just talk a lot. But it's, if you put yourself in the pathways of meeting people, it'll happen. You have to be accessible to people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The location I go to, one of the things that I find is that when people start to recognize your face, they're going to come up and talk to you more.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have that, well, I can't get in a conversation because I got something to do. So you can have that conversation and you can still get your work in and you met a new friend,
Right.
So it's easy because of the recognition. And I'm a creature of habit. I get my coffee from this spot. If I go out for breakfast, I like this restaurant. So people see me more regularly now, so they get to know a lot of people a little bit more intimately.
It's a new skill in retirement because when you were working, you were put into situations where you met people. You had people calling for appointments and staff meetings and that. And now all of a sudden, you're the one who has to be out there. And I don't think it's hard, it's just very different. And I think most of us never had that, unless, of course, you had a stint as an outside salesman. But that's kind of like, what you do. But it is just different.
I agree. I think it's much more different. Working, there was a social structure that was automatically provided by the office. And I tend to be a more private person, so it is more difficult for me to meet people. I don't go to a health club, and I don't go to a lot of organizational things. So it's more difficult because the people that I tend to meet are still working, or they're in different situations, so they don't have the same time schedule that I do. But it doesn't take away from retirement, it's just different.
I want to spend more time on retirement readiness, but first, in the realm of lifestyle considerations, Tom and Marty, I know that you've relocated, and we were talking a little bit before about people's potential ideas about relocating, maybe getting somewhere warmer. So let's talk about that issue, whether relocation and or downsizing is on anyone's radar.
We did that. We downsized from the big house to a condo, and we moved also at the same time. So yeah, it was a big adjustment. It was a new adventure. I mean, we enjoyed it, but it was a lot of consideration, but we wanted to be closer to our daughter. So, yeah.
And that's really why you relocate, I think, is be closer to family.
Right.
I have one daughter here, but one daughter in California with our 3 grandchildren. And that is torture to have your grandchildren 1,700 miles away.
Yes.
But, we try to get out there a couple of times a year. They come in, but it's still difficult. When you relocate, and Tom had mentioned about losing a lot of your background, your history, when you move in, that would be difficult for me to move because my entire social network is here. Not only people I had worked with before, but the social group I built that in different venues around, and it's that would be hard to start all over again.
So it's difficult for you. You're on the one hand, you want to be closer to your kids, but on the other hand, your whole life is here.
That's right. Is that the approach avoidance situation? It is difficult, but in a way, it's. I do have a daughter here, so we say that we think she'll need us more in the future. I don't know if that's true or not, or we're just deceiving ourselves. But you had mentioned downsizing too. We still live in a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath house. I haven't been in some of the rooms yet, but my wife says, I love this house. I'm comfortable. I'm not ready to downsize. So, there's the practical part of we really should, and then there's the emotional part of, again, giving up something very familiar and something very comfortable.
There's this saying out there in the retirement planning community that retirees have these 3 major phases of retirement: the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. And I'm wondering if you think that will hold true for you, or sort of what's your expectation about what your glide path in retirement will be like? Do you have a sense of the trajectory for yourselves? Have you thought about it?
Yeah. My wife and I are traveling very actively now. We've been to Spain and Portugal, going to Greece in May, and I told her, these next 3 or 4 years, we better get our traveling done, because I can already see that it's not going to be getting any easier to do those sorts of things, adjusting to the jet lag and getting on and off of buses and things. So, yeah, that description is based in fact, I think, just based on the way I feel and where we might be going. And I'm all right with that. We're going to do as much as we can in the short term and then become a little more sedentary, perhaps in the 5 years from now, 4 years from now.
Yeah, that's what I plan too. I got several trips planned already, New Orleans and a cruise and stuff like that. So yeah, you always that's what keeps you motivated.
Seize the day kind of
today,
a mentality.
Yeah, like I got these places I want to see and things I want to do, and I can see down the road, slowing it down a little bit, and then at some point say, oh, I'm too exhausted, I can't do that.
I think that description about the 3 stages is very accurate.
Yeah.
However, I think I'm like many younger people as they're looking, what they should be doing in terms of their investment planning in their lives. I don't want to accept that. I'm in a go-go mode right now, and I think I'm going to be in it, like forever.
Right on through, maybe.
But, when you say that, I have, maybe that will happen, but I don't think it's going to happen in the near future.
Exactly. I think the same way. I don't even want to think about it being 3 periods or phases. I'm just going to stay in the phase that I'm in right now for as long as I can.
Yeah.
Stay in the moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about the decision to retire. I want to know from each of you, actually, at what age did you start to think seriously about retirement? Like, maybe we can do this, and when can we do this? When did you start to think seriously about it, talk seriously about it?
I started at about 62, and it took me 5 years to adjust to the thought of leaving work, full time. And there was a good deal of planning and, being in finance, I scheduled out, what our investments might do and how much money we would have, et cetera. But it just reached a point where, for a whole bunch of reasons, nothing in particular, not a bad job, et cetera, I just felt, it's time, I want to do something else. Maybe there was some boredom, at work that I'd, climbed all the mountains I could climb, and, if I carried on, it would be nothing more than, just hiking. And so I thought, let's do it.
I don't think I started thinking about retirement till I was probably 65 or so, because I just pictured working for as long as I could. Because it was convenient for me. I worked in the same town that I live in, and so it was easy to go to work every day. It provided that social structure, provided that daily routine. I enjoyed the work, and so I thought, and I also had contact with people who were still active and working until they were in their 80s, and I thought, oh, maybe that's what keeps them that way, is that they work until they're 85, and so I thought, well, I should prolong that as long as possible. But then, like you, it just, all of a sudden, I thought, I just want to retire. I'm done with this. I just don't want to work anymore. So then I stopped.
I started bringing more work home, not to do, but just to think about. Issues that before I would say, well, I'll deal with that tomorrow, and then we'd go out for dinner. But I was coming home, and I was going to deal with it tomorrow, but I was still thinking about it for the all night. And I said, things are bothering more than they should. And I wanted to leave on a high note that they still wanted me and didn't want to get rid of me. So that kind of was the turning of the tide when it was wasn't as enjoyable anymore.
I really loved what I was doing, and I never thought I would retire either, because there were a lot of models for me if I looked around at people doing my job who were older than me and still going on and on. Mm-hmm. But then I got my required minimum distribution, 70 and a half. And it was really an eye-opener. I asked myself, what am I trying to prove? Am I trying to die at my desk in the office someday? And I think it's a certain point, the urge to look at the next phase of your life overcomes the comfort of the status quo. Mm-hmm. The comfort of knowing what you're going to do every day and enjoying it. Then this was a second career for me. I made a career change at 45, and I remember standing in a hall at 45 and at my old position, and looking around saying, there's got to be more to life than doing this for another 15, 20 years. And there was. You just have to take the step.
I started planning about 4 years ago. And I was planning as an anticipation to the next step. So it wasn't that I didn't like my profession. I thought I was pretty good at it, but I knew that it was going to come to an end at some point. So I need to research and get all the information I can so that I can transition smoothly and know what I'm one of those people, I got to know what's in my hand, what type of resources that I got. So I was asking the right questions, I was talking to the right groups to find out about the various sources of income that I had available to me so that I can make that decision and be comfortable and know I've did my due diligence to make it a smooth transition. So I didn't think I was going to work forever. That wasn't my plan because as a young kid in college, I worked in a company where guys worked forever and they got forced out at some age, and then 2 or 3 months down the road, you're reading this company newspaper. So John passed away, you know, and I'm like, this guy worked forever and never got to enjoy the fruits of his labor. And I didn't want to be that guy. I want to make sure I enjoy and can spend time with my grandkids, because I got grandkids all over. I got grandkids in Houston and in northern Mississippi and the Memphis area. So I got to be able to travel and see them and make sure they know who their pop-pop is, you know.
Absolutely.
A question is whether you sought advice from a financial advisor or some other entity when trying to figure out, can I retire? Did you get another opinion on that, or did you sort it out yourselves?
Yeah,
I use Morningstar. I looked at their models, read articles, kind of said, here's kind of the allocation it should be, and just kind of did it on my own with literature search.
I know some of you use advisors, so let's talk about that decision to get another opinion.
I would not have even begun to figure out how to retire without the help of a financial advisor. I do not know that much about finances in order to retire comfortably, or know that I could retire comfortably, or within what framework. So having a financial advisor was absolutely essential for me.
You know, maybe it's ignorance or maybe it's a bit of arrogance, but like Tom, I subscribed to innumerable magazines, I read books, I watched television shows, I listened to financial advisors on the radio, and I really felt I had a good grasp of things to the extent that I guess I didn't want to give up 1% of my portfolio a year to get financial advice. How much advice can you get? It seems like I had exhausted all of the resources. So, and I'm pleased with the way things turned out. I too wanted some affirmation, so I talked to other people who, you know, talked about diversification, and it all seemed to come together pretty nicely. So I'd like to think I saved myself that advisement fee. And again, maybe it's ignorance. Maybe there's something I should have sought advice on, but for right now, I'm satisfied.
In retirement budgets, do you find that your expense profile has really changed in retirement versus what you spent while you were still working? Does anyone see any big variation there?
I would agree that my budget hasn't really changed, my lifestyle hasn't really changed. I think because my goal was to maintain pretty much the same level
Correct.
of lifestyle that I had when I was working. I wasn't going to go out and do anything radically different, just be able to do more of the things that I enjoyed, but I wasn't going to, my goal was to not greatly increase my spending, but I also wanted to be able to spend as much as I had been spending.
One thing I've heard from retirees is that with more time, there's just an opportunity to spend more money. There's more opportunities to go out to lunch, more opportunities to go here and there, more opportunities to shop. Has anyone found that?
There's always that opportunity.
It's two things that I see a big savings. I'm not in the car as much every day making that commute, and I don't eat out every day. You know, I might think, if I want a salad, I'm gonna go to the grocery store and buy the fixings for a salad instead of going to a restaurant and getting the salad. You know, so because I'm nowhere near the house. So that's a big change. I think over time, I'll probably see that savings, but right now, I just noticed I'm not filling the tank up as much, and I'm not eating out as much.
And when we go out, we may go out for a nice lunch as opposed to a nice dinner. And portions are a little smaller, but...
No wine usually, right?
Well, now.
We're retired. We have wine.
Always take a nap after lunch.
It's nice to go out in the afternoon for lunch instead of going out when it's real busy in the evening. You know, that is a plus.
We go to afternoon movies, the matinees at the theater. You're home in plenty of time, and go to bed. So doing things during the day is really a great opportunity. And for many people, we always lived beneath our means anyway. We're cheap about things, but if you were making X amount of dollars, you spent X minus, so you'd have that margin to save. So it hasn't required us to gear down from a lifestyle of the rich and famous that we had been living. We're pretty much the way we always have been.
I agree completely with that. Having been an accountant, I still chart our expenses on a program, and what I see is not either an increase or a decrease, but a reallocation of we're taking money that I used to use for commuting and daily lunches, and we're going to use that for something else. So they projected in retirement that you would spend somewhere between 60 and 75% of what you did pre-retirement. I don't find that at all. I see we're the same amount of money being spent, but just on different things.
Last question. I'm wondering if you could each give some piece of advice, whether lifestyle, financial advice to people getting close to retirement.
Because I'm the newest one to this, I think the most important thing is once you set a date, get it started right away. That means talk to Social Security, talk to your pension, talk to your 401k administrator so that you can go into retirement, that phase of your life, as smoothly as going to work the next day. If you don't, you're going to have a month or two lag, and it's going to be a little apprehensive. But if you set the date and you get the ball rolling right away, don't put it off. Get it rolling right away so that you can move into that date really smoothly. That would be my biggest suggestion.
Great advice.
I would agree with that, but I would say even if you don't set the date, that once you start thinking about retirement, then you go to the seminars and you educate yourself on Social Security and Medicare and health insurance and all of that, because it is so complicated. And I'm a great proponent of a financial advisor to get all of your finances in line. I would also say that I thought that I needed to know what I was going to do when I retired. And so I didn't retire for a long time because I thought, I have to have a plan, what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden I thought, no, I can just figure it out when I retire. And that's what happened. So I think that day-to-day wise, you figure it out as you go along. But you do have to have all of those other things in advance. You have to have those prepared in terms of Social Security and Medicare and health insurance and financial planning. Those are just critical.
I've had a number of people ask me, about retiring and what do you do and how is it and do you still like it, et cetera. And I tell them that talking about retirement is talking about leaving a job and going to a new employer. You need to do your homework. You need to look at it. And when you get there on that first day, you have to have some idea of the responsibilities that this job holds, and you've got to set some goals for yourself. And if you think in terms of that pie in the sky attitude that you just kind of go into retirement and it's so nice and puffy clouds and so forth, you're going to be in for a terrible, terrible shock. But I do think it's a job that has tremendous benefits. You know, and that's reminded every morning when I hear the cars outside. And, but it doesn't come without some responsibility on your part.
I think I read someplace where 43% of adults don't have any retirement funds saved at all. And then a certain percentage of those who have some have very little. So you can talk about strategies, but you need to have enough money to even use to fulfill a strategy. Yep. And don't spend what you make, spend less than you make. Be careful about where you buy your house. Be careful about what kind of cars you buy and how you buy them.
Plan for it, save for it, enjoy the ride.
Yep.